start the recording now. Um,
Or
I-
just be like me and don't show your face or sound.
yeah, it's rare.
That's
Kim, I
that's
never see you. Usually I just have
that's what I'm saying.
I have I
That's
have two pictures of a dog with like your dog's a
Yeah.
there.
Hmm.
I'll be coming and going too. I've got people coming to work in my yard, so I've got
It's all
to
right.
come.
Don't worry. That's why we record the lesson. That's why we record the lessons. So let's just let in a few other people who are trickling in. So today we're going to focus. I've taken Kim's advice on board. I've been playing well, some of the morning and yesterday, and I'm going to try and share my iPhone with you. So I'm hoping it's going to work, and that you're going to be able to see it, and it will relate to the recording. But we're going to kind of work through. Last lesson was a lot to do with kind of taking the photo, how to focus your iPhone, how to use the Lightroom app, like changing from JPEG to DNG, being able to control the shutter speed, being able to control the ISO, being able to control the focus, the depth of field. So we learned like quite a lot about how our iPhones can be somewhat similar to our traditional cameras. For those of you here who have a digital or mirrorless camera, not exactly the same, but close. And I mean, the thesis is that over the next 5 to 10 years, that gap is just going to basically turn to nothing, where
Mm.
cameras will kind of be like vinyl records. It'll be like a great thing to do and like you enjoy, but it won't be necessary. At the moment, it's still necessary for a lot of things. You can't really take good macro photography. You can take okay. You can't really take good macro. You can't really freeze action very well. The zoom is good, but it's still not as good as your camera. There's loads of use cases where I would still much rather use your camera if you have them. Um, but it's very interesting in the last 3 to 5 years how the
Hmm.
iPhone and Android have both made like a giant leap in terms of trying to bridge that gap. And as I said to you last time, if you're in good light, when the light's ideally coming from behind you, if you're in good light and you're taking a picture of a vase of flowers and you're in control using the Lightroom app, to the majority of oh, just whoever's got me on Echo, just turn their mute off, please. Um, to the majority of people, you're not going to be able to tell the difference if it was taken on an iPhone or a camera. But you need good light. And that's why the way of seeing and why you hear me talk about so much in all my classes is that like 80% of creating good photography is seeing better, is the composition, is the framing, is the color, is the light, kind of the foundational pillar of photography. If you don't see well, I could hand you a $10,000 camera, I could hand you an iPhone 1, and I would argue that you need to work on kind of improving your photography taking. But today we're going to go a little bit technical. Um, and I want to spend the first half of the lesson looking at some of the pictures you guys sent. And what I then want to do is I then want to dive in to show you a little bit of how to edit on your phone using the Lightroom app, which I know a lot of you have asked for. Um, and again, there's been great leaps in what you can do in terms of editing on a phone compared to what you could do 1, 3, 5 years ago. Um, and I'll just remind you all, for those of you who are in the Lightroom ecosystem, which I think is most people here, when you take a picture on your phone, theoretically, if you take it through the Lightroom app, if everything is set up how it should be set up, which will be slightly different depending on your setup in PC or Mac or how your computer is like deriving the files. But and I can definitely help any of you if you're having trouble with that. But we want to get to a point where you go out, you don't have your camera with you, but you see something, you have your iPhone, the best camera you have is the one on you. You take your pictures and then you come back to your computer and they're all waiting for you. You don't have to do anything.
Mhm.
That's
Mm.
that's a huge advantage of being in the Lightroom ecosystem. I'm going to show you today how to do some editing on your phone. But again, like lots of people don't like editing on their phone. Like it's a little small screen. Like they'd rather come home and have their nice 15-inch, 17-inch, 20-inch, 13-inch, whatever, be able to do it properly and sit and like take the time to do it. But it's nice to have the option to be able to edit if let's say we're traveling and we don't have our computer with us and we want to do some quick edits because we're on a train ride somewhere or on an aeroplane and we want to play with some of our photos and spend an hour doing some edits on a flight, it's really good that you can do that. And what's interesting, and this never used to exist, and now it does, which is great. Not only do your pictures theoretically go straight from Lightroom to Lightroom Classic. Lightroom Classic, as a reminder, is like the mothership, like where all your photos live on your computer. But also, any edits or changes that you do will also reflect on your computer. So that's to say, if you crop something, and you'll see we'll do this in a bit. If you crop something, change the color, change the brightness, whatever,
Mhm.
if you then come to your computer, it takes a second because it's got to go up to the cloud and it's going to go. But if you were on a train somewhere and you were editing and then you came back to your computer that evening, you're going to see the photo with all of your edits sitting on the computer, which is huge. That never used to happen. You used to be able to sync them, but you never used to be able to sync
Mhm.
them with the edits. It's been around for a little while now, but it's a huge workflow thing, especially for those of you who are primarily using your phones as your cameras. Mary, have a question.
Can you make a virtual copy in case you want to save the original one and then do
Great,
an edit?
great question. You can't you can make a copy through your iPhone, but you can't in the Lightroom app. I would advise that you edit the picture, which we'll do. Let's say you wanted to make it black and white. So you could change it from color to black and white, do whatever you want to do the editing, come back to your computer, the raw file is still living underneath it, like it hasn't forgotten it, not like made a new file. Then in Lightroom Classic, it's easier. I would make a virtual copy by just right clicking on the picture, create
Oh,
virtual copy. Then you have
okay.
two. That would give you two black and white pictures. Then you just reset the second one
I
and it
reset.
goes
Okay.
and it goes back to the original. That's it.
Mm.
That's probably the best workflow to do it.
Mm.
Creating copies on the phone can get a little bit clunky.
Mhm.
Really good question. Anyone else got any questions on that kind of syncing everything together? Cool. Okay. So we are recording, which is great. Let me dive in. Let's take a quick look at some of the pictures that you guys sent me, just to get our kind of creative juices flowing. And then we'll dive into the phone. So let's take a look. And don't worry if your picture's not here, because it may be somewhere else. So um, I think this was Beverly, actually. Beverly, are you here today?
Yes.
Oh, hi, Beverly. So Beverly,
Hi.
I thought it was interesting to start this. Beverly sent this video, which I thought was kind of
Mm.
interesting just to show everyone. Because it shows quality of light. What time of day was that, Beverly?
Oh, I don't remember. I haven't, it's an old picture, but
Okay.
I'm fascinated by the shadows.
So my guess is that this is either sometime early in the morning or sometime late in the afternoon. The light is low. We call this in photography. It's actually really good for me to show you a video like this. This is called dappled light,
Mhm.
DAPPLED. You get it a lot when you're like walking through a forest, when you're in a park, you get it like if you were photographing a bloom of flowers and there was trees ahead and on top of the flowers and they were casting shadows, or even just through clouds, various clouds as light filters through clouds. You get this thing called dappled light. I'll play it again. And dappled light is really interesting because really what you want to try and do is you want to try and look, in this instance, there's a lot going on here. I would be thinking about, okay, I'm going to go in and I'm just going to focus on like a section. Doesn't really matter where, but I'm gonna basically study the light. I'm gonna watch it for a minute or two, and I'm gonna think like if I can pause it, I don't know. Look at like in here, I'll run the video again. Look how the shadowing of the leaves is so prominent. Just watch. You see it in there?
Mhm.
Whereas it's not so prominent in the top pane of glass. So I
Mm.
would be looking at this light and I'd be like, okay, where is the interest? Where can I make this a focal point? Where can I make this a subject? Dappled light's pretty hard to play with, but it creates great shadowing. The reason it's hard to play with is because there is a broad dynamic range. You hear me use this word a lot. How it's the amount of light from the brights, the highlights, to the shadows. Now, when we take this picture, and today I'm exclusively talking about phones, when we take this picture on our phone, do you think you guys can, I'll call on someone actually. Do you think that we need to set our camera, our iPhone or our Android, to expose for this, the highlights, or this, the shadows? What do you think, Joanne?
If you expose for the highlights, I think it's going to be overexposed.
Think again. You're going the wrong. So if you expose for the highlights,
Highlights.
the bright parts, that ensures that your bright bits,
Right.
wherever that may be,
It,
don't become overexposed. They don't become too bright. They don't
right.
become.
As
They
long as
don't.
you don't, yeah, underexpose their highlights a bit so they don't become overexposed.
Correct, exactly. But the mistake a lot of people make in a situation like this is they will set their square, their yellow square, and they'll set it on the shadow. And they'll do 1, 2, 3, hold, and they'll hold it on the shadow. What that does, if you remember, when you hold it, that square, you get on the top of your phone something that says AEAF lock. Autofocus, that means that's AF is autofocus. That means you're focusing on that. You're saying to the iPhone, hey, I really want to focus on this patch of light here in this window. But the AE means auto exposure. And what that means is it's kind of like, in fact, it's not kind of like, it is exactly like, for those of you who are familiar with it, doing something called spot metering on your cameras. It's you basically saying to your phone, I only care about the light in here. Now you actually wouldn't want to do this here. You'd want to put your square on the bright part. You want to put your square on here, on the highlight. And you're saying, give me the correct exposure for the highlight. What that's going to do is that in a situation like this with dappled light, it's very easy for areas to become bright white, overexposed. When things become bright white, we lose all the data. Even with all the editing I'm going to show you later, there's only so much you can do. Hey, Cass.
So you would put the focal square like right there, like on the edge of a shadow there with
I'd find a highlight. I put it on the highlight. So I'm not, so
you would put it on the highlight and right next to it.
yeah, well, it depends. I mean, I'm guessing how big my square would be, and also my whole picture would probably not be like this. My picture would be like, I don't know, a crop like that. And if I was cropping like that, I'd come in and I'd find the highlight because I
Okay.
know that that's going to fix my exposure and prevent underexposure too dark. Obviously, we don't want, but it's much easier to fix than overexposure.
Okay.
And as a reminder, everyone, and we practiced this last time, but it's good for reinforcement. When you take your phone and you do the 1, 2, 3 hold on the subject, not only do you see that AEAF lock at the top, but you also see to the right here, you see a little sun.
Right.
And the little sun has an up and it has a down, like that. And you can practice this if you've got your phones in front of you. You can just point it at something and 1, 2, 3 hold on a subject. And you'll see that little sun. What this sun, if you literally take your finger and hold on the sun and drag it up, and we go up, it's going to make things brighter. We go down, it's going to make things darker. This is your camera's version of something called exposure compensation. So this is like to fine tune your exposure. By exposure, I mean how bright or dark the picture is, and to make sure you get it how you want to get it. A really good example of this, not in this picture, but if you go to the beach at sunset, just making up something, and there's someone walking along the beach, but the sun is setting behind them, and you want them to be a silhouette, like in front of the sun, you want them to be like a nice silhouette, you would click on the sun, you wouldn't click on the person because the sun is the highlight. And then if you wanted to silhouette the person, you would just take down that sun. You just drag it down, which would make the whole image darker. That's a good iPhone hack. But the key to understand is when you lock the square, when you do this 1, 2, 3 lock, that you are doing two things. You're locking the focus and you're locking the exposure.
Mm.
And it's important to do that. Hold on, Carolyn, one sec, I see you. It's important to do that because, especially in situations like this, where there's a big range of light, happens a lot, like at sunrise, sunset, early in the day, late in the day, we have a big spectrum of this dynamic range, is the phones can, in not good light, get a little overwhelmed, and then they just guess what the right exposure is. And I want you guys to take control. Like I always say, the best camera is the 2 inches behind it. It's you. The iPhone's good, but it's not as good as you. So we're going to join the technology of the locking the focus, locking the exposure, and then going up or down. Hold on, two questions. I'll go to Carolyn first and then to Cass.
So is it better to take the time when you're taking the photo to do the sun thing, or can you do that in editing?
Great question. I'm a firm believer in that you should do as much as possible correct when taking the photo. Because the problem is when you let's say you took this picture, okay, and this was a photo. Let me see if it'll let me change it. May not let me develop it. Hold on. No, okay. I'll just do it with a photo. Hold on. If you took a photo, let's just imagine this is the photo, okay, and the original picture came out your camera looking like that, making something up, because that could easily happen. The problem is when we overexpose, or it could come out your camera looking like that, and then you're like, oh yeah, I'll just fix it afterwards. If the picture is too dark, Carolyn, like this, and then you go to brighten it up, you create something called digital noise. And we see digital noise most in the shadows. You may have seen that word come up, but digital noise essentially degrades our photograph. It reduces the quality, and it also reduces the kind of the oomph of it, the pop. It reduces the clarity, the color, the contrast. So we tend to try not to want to rescue a photo from underexposure. And on the same end, but the reverse, if we overexpose it like this, and we're like, oops, we're trying to fix it, then there's no information there. You can actually see all those red lines, that red color that comes on my Lightroom here. That's showing me, all that red is showing me that there's no data there. If I took the picture like this, I can't rescue it. I could be the best editor. I mean, I can kind of try and make it up, but I can't really rescue it. So out of everything, there's really two things, Caroline, you should always be striving to get right in camera. Lighting and focus. In fact, I'd argue three, and composition. Lighting, focus, and composition. Because again, if you compose badly and you're like, oh yeah, I'll just fix it later and I'll crop it later, which we can do. But the more and more you crop on your picture, the more quality you are losing. Because you're taking, I'm just going to pretend you've got an iPhone 17. Let's just imagine it's 30 megapixels. You only crop on half this arch, you're straight away going down to a 15 megapixel image. You crop again, you're like, oh yeah, there's a person there and there's a little bird on the balcony. And I didn't bother zooming in before. I just thought I'd fix it afterwards. And suddenly this may become like a 5 megapixel image. It's called pixel pushing. And we don't want to do that. Sometimes we have no choice because we're photographing a soccer game or a bird or something that's way in the distance. But ideally, I'd always rather, if you can, you move with your feet. You zoom closer, or you use both the camera lens and you use the fact that maybe you can move closer to the subject to avoid you doing this. So yeah, composition, lighting, and focus are the three things that if you get them wrong, then your editing, what we're going to look at later, becomes much more corrective than creative. And I want it to be creative. I don't want you to be trying to fix something that you could have just taken a moment, slowed down, really thought about, am I doing this right? And got it right in the camera.
Thank you.
Eliza.
Yes, I am having a little bit of trouble moving the sun up and down.
Okay, it's a little fiddly. It's not the best. I wish you've just got to be a little bit careful with it. It's just one finger up or down. Have
So
a
it
play.
says It says AEAF lock,
You got
so I
it.
was supposed to have done that, yeah.
And then
this
you got to
little
grab,
sun
and then you
thing.
got to grab the sun. Kind of go further right than you think you need to. Almost drag your finger to the right of the sun rather than right over it. And then you're gonna be able to see this. I can't show it.
So,
Yeah, exaggerate your finger movements a little bit.
You want to really exaggerate it, and you can actually go way off to the right. So I'll now draw this so you guys can see. So
That helps. And you're not moving the sun as much, but you can see the shadow is coming in.
yeah, exactly. So imagine this is the sun, right? And here's your up and down. Okay, and here's your whole picture. Okay, you can actually put your finger over here
Right.
and drag up and down. You don't have to put your finger on the sun.
Mm.
Go
Then
like
you'll
wait,
oh, that helps a lot.
go
that,
way to the right and
That
go up and
really
down.
helps.
yeah,
Okay.
then the image shows darker light.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a great way in a situation like I shared with Beverly's video at the start, where you have this lovely dappled light, thinking about shadows. How deep, how dark do I want the shadows to be? You can adjust that by tweaking the exposure compensation. Okay, Cass, you had a question.
You answered it. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
May I ask a question? It's
Yeah, of
bad.
course. Of course. Hey,
Um,
Bev.
When I try to do the 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
I get something on my camera that says flash live timer exposure aspect, and I can't get rid of it. And I
Okay, easy fix. So when you have that, just swipe down, just like push it away,
oh, okay,
and
great.
then you're back. That you got to in the top right hand corner. There's some extra things you can do. There's a little grid. There's some little squares up there. Just try not to tap on that at the moment because we don't need to go there.
Okay.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else got any questions? Good. Okay, great.
One other I have it on RAW, but
Yes.
I don't want to take all my pictures in RAW. If I just tap on RAW, does it go away?
Correct, yeah. And Bev, I don't know whether you were at the last class, I can't remember, but we covered that in the, if you want to go back and look at the recording, I did quite a lot of teaching on RAW
Oh, I'll
versus
go back and
JPEG,
look.
how to turn it on, how to turn it off, how to set it so it stays, how to set it so it doesn't stay. But yeah, Bev brings up a good point as a reminder to all of you that we want to photograph in RAW. Lightroom calls it DNG, digital negative, whenever we're doing anything for our photography. If we're photographing a cereal box or a seat, like there's no reason to photograph in RAW. The main reason we photograph in RAW is one, the file's much bigger. So if you want to print it or do something with it, put it in a book, you're just going to get a better quality picture. And two, as importantly, it means when you come to edit it, it's what's called a non-destructive edit. You don't harm the file. And all the kind of information is there for us to play with. Whereas if when you do a JPEG, everything is baked into the file when you take the picture, whether it's to do with color, sharpness, exposure, white balance, all these kind of photographic concepts. And it's very hard to then extrapolate them out. Okay.
Thank you.
But yeah, I just thought this was interesting just to see, because this is good. This is the kind of light that I'd hope that you guys can find. It's very easy if it's sunny. And play with the shadows. The temptation, what most people do, is they actually stand where Bev is and they face the other way. And they miss this good light. So keep an eye out for that dappled light, especially as we move into the spring and like things start to get warmer and the sun's out a little bit more. You're gonna see that in your homes. You're gonna see that when you're on walks. You're gonna sometimes just see like dappled light reflecting in a path or a puddle on the street or a lake. Like it's a really good way to increase your dynamic range in your photography, which ultimately is one of the things we're always striving to do. Okay, let's look at this one.
Nice.
One's really good. I can't remember who sent me this one, but this kind of stands up to.
Beautiful.
We'll see when we do black and white. We'll do a little bit of black and white conversion in a minute on the iPhone. But generally, for a good black and white conversion, you need to have really two things: strong composition and strong lighting. Sometimes when we take color pictures, it can actually almost like distract us from the fact that the composition may be bad or the lighting may be bad because there's so much going on. There's all these pretty colors, there's lots to look at. When you strip a photograph of its color, So you get to the bare bones. It's left standing on the power of its composition and its lighting. And both here are excellent, really good. We've got our S curve running through. Whoever took this, I'd just watch the edge of your frame out there. I'd probably crop that. I also maybe would have like, if I was taking this on our phone, and today I'm very much sticking on phones, I would have probably used this. I would have put my square here on the highlight, and then I would have dragged my sun down a little bit, just the tad, just to bring a little bit more detail back into this ridge because the sun's coming from over here, lighting this up. But great dynamic range, great pattern, great texture, really nice job whoever took this. Maybe as well, I'd be interested to see what it feel like at the top. It's a little bit tight, almost needs like a little bit more room to breathe, just a hint. Or you do an opposite and you say, okay, I'm going to take this photo and I'm going to, oh, can't do it on this one. I don't know my computer. And you can crop it to, I don't know, maybe that. Just an idea, but really good one for shadows and dynamic range. Let's take a look at this one. This is not the original. I played with this. There we go. So that's the original. When you see blue there, by the way, remember I said red is overexposure. Blue shows underexposure. You get this, but for those of you familiar with Lightroom, if you're in Lightroom Classic, if you're on your computer, by just hitting the key J. J turns on, J turns it off. And what this shows is this shows areas of the photograph that are living beyond the dynamic range of what our camera can capture. I.e., for those of you, if you can see over here, hopefully we're not blocking, for those of you familiar with the histogram, which hopefully all of you will soon become familiar with, but for those of you who are familiar with the histogram, as a reminder, the histogram shows the distribution of data across your dynamic range. It shows where is the data sitting from shadows to highlights. And this is your camera's dynamic range. This is the iPhone's dynamic range. The better iPhone you have, theoretically, the bigger the dynamic range. The shadow comes to here instead of here. Every time the iPhone comes out with a new one, they say, they'll mark it and they'll say great in low light performance, like ability to capture like more light. They usually actually often use the word dynamic range. But what the blue and the red are showing is information that sits beyond the histogram, past what your camera was able to capture. And again, we want to try and avoid that. That's one of the reasons we use that something. So like arguably this picture, I fixed it now, but in there's not much information. I'd like to just be able to see a little bit more in there. And again, we'll do this edit. We'll do some editing in a minute on the iPhone, but I just wanted to get you guys thinking. But use of shadows here, really good. I wonder what this one looks like. Again, I often encourage you guys to do this. Don't be afraid to like rotate. Just to try to create something a bit more abstract. Maybe even this way. Bring it up to here. Maybe not. But clear shadowing, nice job whoever took this. Even this way is very interesting. This one almost falls directly on the golden ratio. For those of you familiar with the golden ratio, there we go. Look at that. And I don't know what it is. Who is the person who took this here?
It's like a cabbage, but I bet it's Susie.
I'm back.
Isn't this your picture?
Susie, what is it?
Yes,
I got it.
it's a cabbage,
Oh, it is a cabbage. A decaying cabbage.
decaying cabbage, yeah.
Nice. So Susie's found and what time of the day did you take this, Susie?
Oh, it was bright, it was midday.
Yeah. So if Susie had come back and taken this picture at 4 or 5 p.m., she would have got much more dramatic, longer shadowing, which we're often looking for. Big shadow. These shadows would have all been like 4 or 5 times the size. You also have got more shadowing across the cabbage, which is why you may remember in the first class I was talking about, you generally want to photograph first 4 hours of the day, last 4 hours of the day. It's when the sun is lower, especially on the phones, because the phones have a hard time when the key light, which means the main light, is very bright. And it's at its most intense and it's at its brightest in the middle of the day. So the closer we get to kind of the sun going down, A, the easier job our iPhone has or our phones has to take the picture, and B, it's just going to look better, just going to look more dramatic. There's a famous picture. I may have shared this with some of you, but I'll show you here while I'm here. Let me just come out of my Lightroom for a sec. Show you something. It's a very famous photographer called Rennie Burri, Renburri. Show you. He created this. If you went to photography school, this would be a picture they would definitely show you. He, and some of you may have seen it before. He created this picture called Men on a Rooftop. Show it to you. It's very, very famous. It's here. There we go. It's a great picture for shadows. Oh, come on, open up. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I need to get it so you can see it big though. Hold on. Oh, wait. There we go. You see that okay?
Wow.
So this is
Yeah.
taken in Sao Paulo
Whoa.
in Brazil. And this is about 2 minutes before the sun went down. The very,
Don't get
very
out of it.
last bit of light. There's a lot going on in this picture, a lot. It's an old picture, it's from 1960. And you see this a lot, especially with film photographers like Henri Cartier-Bresson, René Burri, Ansel Adams. They had to wait for the perfect light. They didn't have the luxury that we have, that you can take 50 pictures at 1 p.m., 50 pictures at 4 p.m., 50 pictures at 7 p.m. They had like six chances or eight chances to get their picture, especially someone like Ansel Adams. But this picture is interesting because much like the cabbage, he has waited. If he had taken this at midday or 1 in the afternoon, the shadows from these men would be like tiny.
Mhm.
He notice how he silhouetted them as well. He's exposed for the highlight here. So he's exposed for the bright parts of the scene. And he's purposely, if we imagine we were taking this on our iPhone, he's pulled the sun down to make these men go into silhouettes. Now, a lot of this is a very famous picture. You can look it up. It's just called Men on a Rooftop. And a lot of people say, oh, actually, I don't like this picture because I feel like it's two images kind of cut in half. Like that's a picture,
Mhm.
and kind of that's a picture.
Mhm.
And he's kind of broken the traditional rules here. The traditional rules would agree with that, and they would say perhaps that you go to the men on the rooftop who are leading you out of the frame. But what about all of this? Like, look at, I don't know if you can see, but there's all these people crossing the road, and the shadows are humongous on all the people, and the sun's coming in from like over here. Um, but actually, his point of view, and you can look it up and you can read about it. Like even here, I found an article where like there's a whole massive article just on this particular photo. Is that actually it plays with line and repetitive pattern,
Mhm. Mhm.
and that everything is pulling you in the same direction. And this would be like a good image for layering. Like it's just rather than horizontal layering, like a Gursky. For those of you who remember me showing you Gursky pictures, this is a vertical layering. And the men are intentionally pushed because again, this kind of breaks all the rules. Like the men should really be over here, walking into the frame,
Mhm.
but they're off to the right. But the reason I'm showing it to you, it just reminded me when I was looking at that cabbage picture, is this is a great shadows picture to show you the impact that you can very easily do with your phones of shooting early in the morning or late in the afternoon. Really fun if ever you go to a city, if you're in downtown Seattle, downtown New York, downtown wherever you happen to be, Chicago, and there's like big avenues like this, and there's big buildings. Late in the day, you get amazing light coming down there, great shadows and things to play with. Okay. And anyone, hands up, had anyone seen this picture before? No. And you can look him up. He's a very, very well-known photographer, street photographer, Rennie Burri. Oh, you can see I've got his name there. I'll write it on the screen actually, just quickly in case you want to look him up. That's Rennie Burri.
Don't see it. Don't see what you're writing.
Ready?
Oh, there
Saw
we
it
go.
on the
There we go.
picture.
Right on the
Yeah,
picture.
there was a delay. There was a
Oh.
delay, sorry.
You guys see? You guys see
It's
that?
in the caption too.
Yeah, it's in the
Mhm.
caption.
Yes.
It's down here, and I put it,
Yeah.
I've just written his name here. So yeah, you can look him up. Very, very good at thinking about shadows and catching the time of day. So hopefully there's a lesson to be had there by looking at that picture. Let's come back to our images. And this is true for those of you especially who spend time photographing maybe people and pets and animals. You don't want to do that in the middle of the day. Light is very harsh and what we call hard. We like soft light, we like diffused light, we like dappled light, like in Beverly's original video. So we want to try and avoid the harsh midday sun if we can. And it's interesting actually, if you came with me on a photo shoot and I was asked to photograph someone and it was the middle of the day, we would actually kill the sun. We'd use something called a scrim. We'd like put like a big sheet over the person and we would take the sun out the equation. And I'd light it myself. I'd control the light rather than have to do it in the harsh midday sun. Happens a lot when people take photo shoots and things at a beach, for example, because there's no shade. So we create the shade. You don't see it. There's still sun coming through it, but it's soft and it's diffused. And then you can play with the lighting yourself. But for your guys' point of view, just if you can, and it's not always possible, try to avoid the middle of the day. Let's look at this one. This one's very nice. Really nice shadows. I would be wary on this one that the top of the plant is a little bit cut off. And also that hatch or that window, whatever it is on the top right-hand corner. Again, I'm not sure if that needs to be there here. Again, watch your edge of your frame down here as well. I think this image, to be honest, I think would look better if it was maybe more of a landscape. You don't have to show the whole pot. Pot's nice, but maybe bring it down there. Maybe even get rid of some of this. Make it more about the shadow. I turn that black and white and I start to kind of play with it. Like straight away, I'm creating something that's pretty, I know it looks a bit blurry on your screen, but something that's a little bit more abstract.
Beautiful.
Compared to, and I think, who took this one? I think you did a good job.
I did, Bev.
Bev, but just watch out, Bev, for distracting things.
Yes, I
Like,
agree.
and this was easily solved. You could have moved. You could have moved the vase, but you could have moved yourself as well. You moved a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, and that hatch wouldn't have been there. And just watch, true for plants, true for people, true for pets. Watch off. You either intentionally clearly cut like it off the top. That's like an intentional cut. I'd bring it in. Or you make sure that you don't cut the top off the flower. Like that looks intentional. That looks like I did it on purpose. This one just looks like I forgot to look at the top of the frame. And GCA, I tell you, hate this. They pick up this the whole time.
Winner.
Yeah, they always cut there. They watch the edges of the frame, watch the edges of the frame. So just before you take a good lesson there, well, just before you take the picture, just watch the edges. But nice job, nice job, Bev. Look at this one. So this one's got lovely color, obviously, which helps. Got this lovely broad shadow coming from the left-hand side. And it's really nice. And whoever took this, good job. I think this is this Susie's? This is Joanne.
No, I think it's Jenny's. I think it's
Jenny.
Jenny's.
Oh yeah, it's Jenny's. You're right. Yeah, it's Jenny's. So
Is she even in this class?
she is, but she's not. I believe
Not
she is.
today.
But she's not here today. So we'll talk about it for a second for the benefit of the recording. But a good lesson for everyone. She successfully positioned. This would have been very easy to have this tree. I'll use a different color. The shadow of the tree coming into the arch. Or like, this is not hopefully by accident that she has framed the shadow in such a way where it actually doesn't detract from the main subject, which is the arch. If anything here, the shadow is creating a natural, we call it in photography, soft frame that draws you into the center. This would have been very easy to take this picture and be one step to the right or one step to the left, and the shadow would have gone straight through the balcony. So this is nice job, Jenny. Clear intention of thinking about our picture before we take it and positioning ourselves in the right spot. And lovely color. Very good. Look at this one. Simple picture, but quite effective.
Nice.
Nice use of the blur and the shallow depth of field that we practiced. And it's definitely taken towards the end of the day or early morning because of this kind of long emphasized shadow. Again, do we need to see the whole thing? No, I'm not sure. Could I kind of make it more abstract and more interesting by, I can even put it on a tilt and do something like this. Just to really like make our viewer remember, the more we can make someone ask questions when they look at our picture. Not saying it's perfect, but it's a little low resolution for me to work on, but there we go. Just creating something like that, you would have zero idea what that was. That's a good example of filling the frame. Going closer, remember, zoom with your feet. You have to move. All too often, especially people on phones, they're like this. Or here, and it's like they're stuck in cement. This way, this way. You never think to actually, oh, I can move closer. I can move further away. I can go around this water glass. I can, what I just did here, I can tilt my camera. That's a disaster for landscape or architectural photography, but if for those of you who enjoy doing still life and macro and more abstract stuff, often creating a tilt will kind of imbue the frame with a bit more dynamism and action, make it feel a little bit more alive. There's tons I could do here. But even just doing that, play with that for a sec. Let's just imagine it when, I don't know, just being creative here. Let's have a look. Put a tone curve on this. It's just creating something artistic from nothing, from the reflection and shadow of a water glass. But I would argue, I mean, not the edit, but I would argue that you could get that crop. Maybe there's too much at the top. Maybe I bring it down a little bit. You could get that crop straight out your camera. And to me, if I'm working like my job as a judge and I'm looking at, okay, I've got these two pictures. Which one is more eye-catching? Which one is more interesting? Which one makes the viewer ask more questions? In my opinion, I think it's the one on the right. Show of hands who prefers the one on the left. You can disagree with me if you like. Okay, Susie, okay, so why do you guys prefer the one on the left? Interesting to hear. Carolyn?
I like the diagonal line, I think.
Yeah, so the diagonal is good. Yeah, maybe I took the diagonal out. So here, diagonal lines are a big thing in photography. And this runs along this strong diagonal, which obviously helps us take it to the cup. I think one thing as well that we could have done when we took this picture was we could have gone a little bit lower. We could have got our camera to a slightly lower perspective. That would have made this shadow look even bigger and made like the water glass look very like imperious and strong and like big and powerful with a humongous shadow coming off it.
Then I would lower the water level or something because it is nice where the the white lines up with the top of the water.
I
If you move,
agree.
it's going to
I
change.
agree. Yeah.
Agreed. Here,
I know.
yeah, I agree. That works well. So it's a
Also
case
on
of
the,
go on, sorry. No, go on, Susie.
just because also on the right, I mean, yes, it's creative, but you know, I hate to say what's the focal point because that's such a GCA statement, but it's
Okay.
creative, but I would need a little more to draw me in.
Yeah.
I think the
Oh,
one
yeah.
on the left has more of a story than the one on the right.
Don't disagree with you.
And there aren't as many classes like that, right, Susie, in GCA? I mean, just if we're just talking GCA, that
Creative
abstractness.
techniques.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would be more of a creative
Creative
technique.
techniques,
This would be a creative technique for the frame. This one gives the story away. There's a good story, but the story is away. This one makes you ask questions. And generally, I'll tell you, in the world of like fine art photography, commercial photography, where I operate, most people want pictures like this rather than pictures like this.
Right.
That it's just
But
getting
I've
me to think.
cropped
It's
it at
getting
the
you to think
top,
out the box.
Adam.
Say that again, please, Catherine.
Should I have cropped the top of the glass?
Yeah, we can. I think so. I think maybe you didn't need to show the whole thing.
Okay, but yeah.
So yeah. I mean, you could have maybe again. I'm going to lose the angle a bit here on this nice diagonal line, but let's see if we could go like that. I think that draws you more into the
Further,
shadows.
there's
Yeah,
a line in the glass that, yeah,
even like to down here, right?
yeah. Okay, yeah, much
Like
better,
that's
much
pretty
better,
That's
interesting.
much more.
Yeah,
much better.
I agree.
Yeah.
So that's kind of enough to tell you that there's the glass and where it's coming from, but also abstract enough where, to Susie's point, I think the focal point is the shadow. Because actually also, Catherine, this is yours, right?
Yes.
And Cat, you can actually see if we look closely that the sharpest part of the picture
Is there.
right there.
Right.
Yeah, it's not the glass,
Mm-mm.
right in the middle of the shadow. What time of the day, can you remember what time of the day you took this, Catherine?
1 o'clock.
Yeah, interesting. So not really late in the day.
No, but it was coming from a window way up high in the building.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's very, very nice. Really good
Thank you.
use of shadowing. Good job.
thank you.
Catherine, were you moving when it
No,
looks like a squirrel? Looks like you were moving something.
Oh, I think Bev is asking
it's,
about what
yeah, it
created
was
this.
stationary on the table.
Oh. Wonder what made it do that swirly thing.
It just caught my attention and I
Just,
had
I
to,
think it's
had to
just,
photograph
I
it.
think it's just the way the light is refracting
Yeah, I
through
think so.
the
Yes.
through the liquid.
Yeah, interesting.
Exactly. It's the shape of the glass reflection down
Mhm.
on the top of the water.
So, and you can kind of see that somewhat like refraction happening up here, but you really see it down here. It's just light passing through liquid. And when light passes through liquid, it doesn't pass through and just come straight out. It refracts.
Diffracts.
Yeah, and diffracts and creates patterns. It's kind of like the dappled light thing we saw, but really good. Nice job. Let's look at the next one. This one was interesting. Little bit of a shadow. Nice, relaxing photo. Definitely like tells a story. Interestingly, when this was taken, so makes me, I wanted to keep this one in the presentation because some of you may be in a situation, again, focusing on your phones, where you are in a snowy landscape. I know the weather in like Northern California like has been pretty cold at the moment. You guys may encounter snow in the next couple of weeks. The camera hates snow, hates it. It gets really, really confused. It freaks out because it's like, oh my God, there's all this bright white. What do I do? How do I get the exposure right? And how do I get what's called the white balance right? What happens a lot is the snow ends up turning blue or the snow ends up turning yellow, which you don't want to happen because it freaks out. So actually, one thing that you can do when you are in a snowy landscape to help this is if you are in your, do me a favor, I'm going to plug my phone in a minute, but I want to finish these first. Just open up your Lightroom app, if you can, please. And go to the camera. And go to the one that says, you should on the camera, you should see it says Pro on the left-hand side where you're about to take the picture. And then above it, you're going to have EXP, SEC, ISO, and then the fourth one along says WB. We didn't talk about this one last time. I purposely went past it. That's called white balance. Can anyone remember what white balance means?
It's the
How
light.
much is the
Light
distribution of the
is,
light?
Hold on, let's go one at a time. Cass, what do you think it is?
Well, it's light that
Okay, yeah, it's kind of to do with light. Joanne, you have
type
an
of
idea?
light, white balance type of light. I don't know.
Kind of. Anyone else got any ideas? Okay, I'll tell you. It's white balance refers to what we call the temperature of light.
Temperature of light. That's it. Yep.
So different lights
yeah.
have different what we call temperatures. You can think of it as how blue or how cold are they. If ever you've been to buy a light bulb for your house,
Yeah.
They come and you can say, I can have a 3000 Kelvin light bulb. I can have a 6000 Kelvin light bulb. I can have a 2000 Kelvin light bulb. Kelvin is the increment of measurement, kelvins, that measures the temperature of light.
Kelvin's INS or ENS?
INS. INS, like that. Kelvins.
Hmm.
So kelvins measure the temperature of light. And there's a huge scale, and I'm not going to go too much into this today because it's not that relevant to the phone, but I'll just touch upon it because it's good for you guys to know that 5,000 to 5,400 kelvins is considered to be what we call neutral. Sometimes you hear photographers refer to it as daylight. That basically means everything looks how we see it. Like, I don't take a picture of my wife and she looks like a Smurf, really blue, and I don't take a picture of her, and I don't take a picture of her and she looks like Trump, really orange. So one or the other. Okay. So we want to stay, we want people's skin tones or what, or a landscape, whatever, we want it to look correct. Now your iPhones by default are on what's called AWB, auto white balance. And what they're constantly trying to do, you just don't know it, it's happening behind the scenes, is they're trying to get you to this middle ground, to this 5,200 by 5,000 by 5,400. So if the scene is really yellow, if you're photographing at 1 o'clock in the middle of the afternoon and you're right in the sun and the temperature of the light is warm, which is higher Kelvin numbers, so higher Kelvin equals warm, warmer light, then what your camera does without you realizing is it injects blue into your photo to try to bring it back to the middle. And if you're in a really blue environment, which tends to be a lot when you're in the shade, or a great example is when you're in the snow, the camera thinks this is really blue. Is it injects or tries to inject? What do you think it injects if we're down here if the scene that we're photographing of is down here, lower Kelvin numbers equal more blue? What do you think the camera does to try to get us back to the middle?
It turns it yellow, warm.
Yeah, you got it. It injects some warmth, it injects some yellow to try to bring us back to the middle. Now, most of the time, hopefully everyone can read this. So 5,000 to 5,400 kelvins is neutral daylight. Higher Kelvin numbers equal warmer. Lower Kelvin numbers equal bluer, colder. And generally, our camera wants to keep us in the middle. Now, you'll see if you watch a movie and it's, I don't know, a medical drama, often they purposely film the whole thing in a very blue, cold Kelvin number because they want it to feel clinical and sterile. Yeah. Or like you watch like some political drama, it will all be in the cooler blues. If you watch Jennifer Aniston, Adam Sandler rom-com, romantic comedy, it will all be in the yellows. I'll give you actually a perfect example of this because you would have all seen this. It's just I think it's an interesting aside for a second. So everyone's seen Titanic. Okay.
When they're at the top, at the front of the ship.
Well, not just that. The whole Titanic is a long movie, right?
Right.
I'll see if I can find a picture. The whole first part of the movie, the whole first 2 hours is in incredibly warm Kelvin light because it's all the love story. It's them falling in love. It's like, look, here's all the color palette. This is really, really warm. It's intentional. Like James Cameron shot the whole first 2 hours of the movie on a warmer Kelvin than we normally see it because he wanted you to feel like warm and fuzzy and Jack and Rose are falling in love. The minute the ship hits the iceberg and the last 2 hours of the movie, the whole thing goes cold, goes greens and yellows. I'll show you. So, yeah. But it's just an interesting one because you've all seen it. So the
Yeah.
whole thing, if I share a good picture of it, this is not good. Titanic movie, where's that? Good. Just go. It comes up. Okay, so here's a good example. So this is the lady who, or like, look at her there. That's Kate Winslet. But the
Little,
yeah.
little blue.
Yeah, she's really blue, but it's intentional. Hold on, right, let's go. This
She's
is
dead blue.
yeah, but like look at this is a good one to see. Like this lady here, and I don't know why I can't get my whole screen up today. Where's my whole screen? But this is the lady who's like lost her diamond or whatever it is, the pendant, I forget in Titanic, and they throw it in the ocean.
Sapphire. Isn't it
Sapphire, there we go. And but look
Yeah.
at but look how blue she is. Look at the
Yeah.
difference between her and
Mhm.
Kate Winslet over here.
Mm.
That's color grading, and that's using white balance for creative effect.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Adam, are you going to tell us today what on Lightroom app, what they are, the light bulb, the fluorescent?
Absolutely. Coming right to it. So if we I just thought that was an interesting aside for you to see.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, but yeah.
It helps you visualize what warm and cold looks like. So when you're on your Lightroom app, right? Okay, and you have what looks like a light bulb, and if you click on it, you'll see at the top it says tungsten. You have another one that says fluorescent. You have another one that says daylight. You have one that says cloudy, and you have one that says custom. Don't worry about the custom one just yet. Let's just imagine we chose the sun. I'm just picking that one. When you choose the sun, what you're technically doing is you're saying to the camera, you're taking a little bit of control. You're saying, I'm in a bright yellow environment. I want you to add blue to the scene. I want you to cool this scene down. The symbols refer to the type of shooting scenario that you are in. If it's cloudy and you click on the cloud, there's an absence of warm light. So it will try to warm the whole thing up.
I'm sorry, Adam, can you tell me where to find this in Lightroom, on the Lightroom app?
Absolutely. Go to the camera.
There.
Yeah, I've got Lightroom.
Okay. Are you open the camera?
Yes,
Okay, down at the bottom, do you see?
Open the camera. Oh.
Yeah, open the camera.
yes,
Oh, open the camera. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay,
Oh, I
Hold on.
yes,
didn't get that either.
I'll make myself bigger. There
yes,
we go. So open the camera. Down, you want to
yes.
make sure Pro down at the bottom here is selected.
Pro,
To the left of the button where you take the picture. So you touch
Where's
it. If it says auto, it may say auto. And
I don't see that.
I don't see that.
yeah, and I want you to click on professional.
Okay.
I don't see any of that.
I'm not
In the
seeing that either.
camera?
In the camera,
I'm
guys.
in
In
the
Lightroom.
camera. I'm in the camera, but I don't see what you're talking
to the
about.
left.
To the left. Yeah, look, there we go. It's definitely on all of your phones. It's on as long as you're looking in the Lightroom app.
But
So
you're in the Lightroom
I'm
app.
in the Lightroom app and then I've opened the camera.
Oh, you're in the
Oh.
Lightroom app. Oh, okay.
Absolutely. I'm not in the normal camera. I'm going to the Lightroom app and then I'm opening the camera through the
I
Lightroom.
see now. Okay. Okay. And then you go to Pro?
Yeah, so imagine this is the Lightroom app. Okay, you make sure you're down at the bottom and then you hit the camera,
Yes.
the blue camera.
Yes.
It's the camera. Oh, okay.
Okay, then you're in the this is where I want you guys operating.
Yes.
Okay.
Then down at the bottom, you're going to change
Yes.
that from auto to professional.
Okay.
And again, for some of you who weren't at the last class, we covered this quite a bit. So go back and watch the recording from the last one, because this is where I'm not going to spend time on it today, but you can change the shutter speed, you can change the ISO and various other things. But the fourth one along says WB. That's white balance. If you click on it, you're going to see all these symbols that I just talked about. A light bulb, a sun, a cloud, a fluorescent. That bar is meant to be a fluorescent thing. And if you're if you just point in wherever you are and you flick between those, you're going to see the picture get bluer
Oh, yeah.
or more yellow.
Yeah.
Yes.
A tip when you're in the snow, because this is how I got to this conversation, is when you're in the snow, it's a great idea, and you can do this on your cameras as well, for those of you who have cameras. You should try to set the white balance on the cloud. That will stop the snow becoming blue. over blue. I see so many people take pictures of snow. and
That the cloud is in very bright white light, kind
No,
of.
all the cloud is the cloud is basically saying there's an absence of warm light.
Okay,
The symbols refer to what's it like when you're going out taking your photographs? Is it cloudy? Well, then it's the cloud. Is it sunny? Then it's the sun. Are you
okay,
under a fluorescent bulb? Well, then it's fluorescent. Are you under a tungsten bulb, which is like a warm light? Then you do that. And then what the camera will do is it will compensate for that. And it's
Right.
just you having a one level more control than letting the camera do the work for you.
we
Which,
need
which
LED lights that are more warm. Those
Yeah.
don't exist.
exactly.
Adam,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Don't waste a lot of time on this. So if this is a long answer, don't worry about it. But
Yeah, go for it.
I don't usually use Lightroom on my phone. I use
Yeah.
it on my computer. And so trying to open the Lightroom app on my phone, it says, do I want to continue with Adobe, continue with Apple, continue with
Yeah.
Google, continue?
Suzette, were you at the last cast? I can't remember.
We didn't talk about Lightroom.
We didn't talk about
at
Lightroom
all.
last time.
So I haven't loaded Lightroom.
I haven't either.
Okay, so I don't want to run away with myself. Okay, so I'm jumping ahead because some of you I know are on Lightroom. So let me backtrack because I talked about half an hour ago. I talked about the benefit of shooting potentially on your iPhone using the Lightroom app. Okay, the benefits. But there's lots of you I know have it. Like Suzette has it on her computer. The fact for those of you who have it on your computer, which is the majority of you, not all of you, but I know most of you have it on your computer. You've paid for it on your phone as well. So it's on your phone. So you might as well use it because the Lightroom app allows you to be able to go into way, way more control in terms of how you use your camera than the native Apple photo, than like the normal Apple camera, the normal thing you click on when you click on Apple camera. To Suzette's point, what you want to do is you want to download Lightroom. You can go to the App Store. I'll show you now. For those of you who don't have it, but most of you I think will probably have it. But you're going to go to the App Store and you're going to go to Lightroom, and there's tons of copycats. So I'm going to show you what it looks like to make sure you get the right one. So it's called, at the moment, they've actually rebranded it. It's called Lightroom AI Photo Editor. Sorry, my thing keeps, it's that symbol there. That's what you want. You can download that from the App Store. And then when you go to use it, much to Suzette's point, what it's going to say is it's going to say, hey, you've never used this before. Can you sign in? And all of you who've got it on your computer, which is the majority of people in the class, which is why I'm talking about it, and apologies if I jumped ahead, is you want to make sure that you sign in at the beginning, at that point Suzette just mentioned, with the same credentials that you used to sign into your Lightroom Classic on you basically have an Adobe, you have it's probably your Gmail, but you have an account with Adobe. And you're going to have an email that's associated with that account, and you're going to have a password. If you can't remember it, you can just reset the password. But the key is that we sign in on both devices, iPhone and camera, to mean that they talk to each other. It's kind of like, I'll share my screen for a second. I'm just going to draw a diagram to help you guys understand this. So it's kind of like at the moment, a lot of you will be using like the Apple camera, okay? We know we're using the Apple camera. The problem is with the Apple camera is when it keeps everything in the Apple ecosystem. So the Apple camera, when you take a picture, goes in to Apple Photos on your computer. Can everyone see my drawing? Just whoever's got some background noise, if you wouldn't mind just muting yourself for the benefit of the group, please.
Sorry.
No, you're okay. You're okay. So the problem is with this is it's great, but it stays in the Apple ecosystem, and it doesn't really cross over to Lightroom, which is really where we want to be for our photography in the long run, because it's going to give us a lot more. It's more advanced. There's a lot of advanced stuff on there. But when we use Lightroom as our camera, then those pictures automatically come to Lightroom on our computer. as long as you're signed in with the same credentials. And this for photography is infinitely better. I don't get paid anything for saying this. It's just common knowledge that, and it's where people eventually end up if they kind of become a bit more serious about taking pictures and taking good pictures on their iPhones, is you end up using this ecosystem rather than this ecosystem. In fact, even better, you use Apple for when you want to take pictures of receipts and cereal and like random stuff. And you use the Lightroom app, the camera on the Lightroom app, for when you want to do serious stuff with your photography. Susie, go for it.
Is there a way to set up your camera or your phone so that you can go immediately to Lightroom camera as opposed to immediately going to your Apple?
Great question. Yeah, absolutely. Depends on what iPhone you've got. But the newer iPhones have some custom, like my phone has a custom button on it. It's there. It's on this side here. Like that's a custom. This is called this is called the action button. I can put anything I want on this. I could put this so this opens my email. I could put this so this calls Susie, whatever you want. You have to go a bit deep into the menu. You can Google it. I'm not going to spend too much time on it today. But if you just Google setting action button on iPhone, or then you're going to find a walkthrough. It's very easy. You just have to go into the settings, into the menu, and then you find the thing, and then you can basically assign this to anything you like.
Oh,
You can
perfect.
press this once, and your camera comes straight up.
Awesome.
Okay, and that's like, for example, how I have mine set up, because it means I just have quick, easy access to my camera rather than have to find it on the iPhone page, click it, and to be honest, by the time you've done that, like I've got small kids, I take tons of photos of my kids on my iPhone. The moment would have passed, I would have missed it.
Perfect.
Okay.
Question,
Yeah, go for it.
does that, it's already set up automatically to go to photos. But that would be in the Apple ecosystem, right?
Correct.
But you say you can set it up. I don't have Lightroom yet, but you can set that button up so that it would take you straight into Lightroom photos.
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah, you can basically put whatever you want on that button. And the editing that I'm going to show you how to do today isn't, because half of you don't have Lightroom, so there's no point me showing you and going too far down the rabbit hole of Lightroom. We can eventually get there, and I'd love to run some Lightroom sessions for you guys, like in the future. But you can edit using Apple and you can edit using Lightroom. Editing using Apple, you probably can do about 20% of what you can do with editing using Lightroom. It's just much more of a consumer product than a professional product. And ultimately, my job is to get you guys, like from here, taking better pictures and put up to here. So we'll play with some pictures in a minute, and I'll show you how to do it in terms of editing, which I think a lot of you know how to do, but I'm going to kind of go into a bit more detail. But yes, to answer your question, this button can be assigned to anything you like. Okay. Anyone else got any questions on that? Okay, so to come back to this picture, I just wanted to introduce the concept of white balance to you. This picture, whoever took it did a really nice job, but a common problem that happens is the picture goes too blue, which is what we don't want. So we would set our white balance to the cloud, for those of you using the Lightroom app. Okay. Anyone got any other questions on that? Okay, good. Let's carry on. Nice picture, whoever took it, by the way. Really nice, very tranquil. Look at this
So
one.
in the cloud, if you were just using your iPhone, would you, touch the snow and then the 3 seconds and then up and down the sun?
But because of the fact you're exposing for the highlight, for the bright
Yes.
part. Yeah, it's a good question. The only problem with doing that, and it's a limitation of the iPhone, is in a situation like this, autofocus and auto exposure are tied together. They're both related to where you put the square. It would be great if they were separate. They're not though. The problem would be, Carolyn, if you put the square here,
Uh-huh.
the cone would go out of focus. So
Okay.
actually a better way to do it is you hold and tap and you put in this case, you focus on the subject, which usually you should do if there's a main subject, and then you adjust the sun up and down to get the snow looking correct.
Okay.
Because what will
Okay.
happen if you tapped on the pine cone and you didn't use the sun, then I don't know why these aren't being found on my computer, but this would go bright white. The snow would go bright white.
Uh-huh.
It'd be totally overexposed, which we don't want. Good question, really good question.
Okay, thank you.
Let's look at this one. Okay, I think this is Joanne's.
Yes.
Really nice, interesting picture. I think, is it a shadows picture? Yes, but I think the subject is more the plants. I would have been interested, Joanne, for you, kind of like we did with the water glass, very similar. I would have been interested you to maybe move around the table a little bit, maybe come and photograph them around here if you could. Maybe just picked up on like this nice vase with the plant kind of pattern on it and can't really recreate it, but shooting from over here. So bring the light over your right shoulder. Here you're fighting the light a little bit, and you can kind of see that there's almost what we call a halo around the picture, around the flowers. Like it just looks a little strange in some places. It's because the phone is, you took this on the phone, right, Joanne?
Yes.
Yeah. It's because your phone is having a hard time because you're not putting it in an optimal lighting situation.
It was lit from a light fixture above the table.
Yeah. Another reason to use the
which is not in daylight.
but another reason to use the white balance. Okay, two more. This one was really interesting. Couldn't really tell what it was. It's very shadowy, very moody.
No, Adam,
Yeah.
did you see mine? I mailed on February 4th.
Uh,
Don't worry about it.
but
I just sent it again for
just
future reference.
send it again and I'll give you some feedback. Sorry if I missed
No,
it.
I don't want any feedback. It's
Okay.
do other stuff. Thanks, though. Just wondered why you didn't see it. I was just
Yeah,
curious.
yeah. Apologies if I missed it. That sometimes when things get sent to me way before the class,
Yeah, I figured that might happen. No big
yeah.
deal. Me too. I do the same thing, you know.
So, I always usually say it's a big group, this group, but I always say and also I purposely haven't put everyone's pictures in here. Kim, I think I remember seeing yours, but not everyone's is here on purpose because I wanted to get to the editing and I didn't want to take up
Yeah, I
much
just
time.
figured that. Mine was more of a story, so no big deal.
Okay, we'll take a look at it together. Oh, just re-email it to me. I'd love to see it.
No, do it later. Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
yeah, but I'm saying re-email it to me and I'll take a look offline. Look at this one. This one's so interesting. Really good shadows picture. Remember I said about good black and whites? Having a high dynamic range, standing on the strength of composition and lighting. This is excellent. Really good. Not showing too much, telling the whole story, nice diagonal lines. Would it be better without that bar running through the middle? I don't know. Maybe, but maybe it creates some more interest. And look at this one. This one's strong vanishing point. Make sure when you do architectural photography, if you can, that you keep your camera as straight as possible. Little things on this one bother me, just like seeing that exit sign. Like I would have just moved one step to my right. You just need to move like half a step this way and that exit sign disappears. Anyone remember what this type of line is called?
Vanishing.
Good. So it's a vanishing point. So a really strong vanishing point taking us through the picture. Again, in this one, I don't think you need to see like so much of the top. I'd take off like the sprinkler and the detector and the lights. I think I'd look straight down like that. Some shadows going on. It's not a strong shadows picture. This is more of kind of a lines picture, but the repetitive pattern going through the arches is good. Again, I would have played with that trick that I taught you last time of turning your camera upside down on this one to get a lower perspective. It would have made the lines look much bigger. Okay, and I think there was one more of some grapes or something. Yeah, there we go. I wanted to show this one. So this one's really interesting. not really a shadows picture. I can't remember who sent it to me. I mean, obviously there's shadows on it, but again, taking a picture of like a bowl of berries, blueberries, which have a lot of texture like this, but taking them at the right time of day is key. Think of that men on the rooftop picture. This picture had been taken at 4 or 5 p.m. You got a lot more interesting light casting above around the blueberries. And what that would do is it would give it more three-dimensionality. It would make it feel like there's more layers because the way that the light hits it is going to be different as the distance decreases from the camera. That's a fancy way of essentially saying you just get more shadowing and more dynamic range. But a good picture, good fill the frame, whoever took that one, nice job. Okay, anyone got any questions? Good. Okay, so I'm going to spend the remaining kind of 40 minutes or
Yes,
so.
one question.
Okay.
So the thing I was different about mine is it was all shadows. There was really no object in it. So I was just kind of, was that a wrong way to interpret the assignment or?
Not necessarily.
Okay, no big
Oh,
deal.
hold on, no. Hold on, I'll pull it up. I actually just found it, Kim. And for some reason, it hadn't been open on my email.
Yeah, my
There.
dog just passed away the day
Oh,
before. So we were
I'm
doing a
sorry.
walk. We were walking and
Oh, nice.
it was kind of
I
cool.
love
Well,
I
this
didn't know if I liked the green and yellow, but that was
No,
just
I actually think the cracks and everything, you framed yourself nicely where it draws you into you and your dog. And I think this is a really good portrait of like,
I used to take a lot. I took a lot of shadow pictures when we walked because we walked at night. And the dogs are 16 and a half years old, and this was like 2 days after her sister passed away after
wonderful.
16. So yeah,
Well,
so it was kind of meaningful. I didn't
yeah, I was
really
going to say this is
worry
a
about your assignment so
this
much, but
this is a fitting memorial. And no, and I think it Kim really well fits the shadows category. There's a good
yeah.
photographer you guys can look up. I've shown it to some of you before. I've been on some of my other classes called Vivian Maya, who
Hmm.
does shots like this the whole time, like mostly self-portraits of herself, but just shadows, like on a cobbly street, like
Wasn't
mainly.
she the nanny
Yeah,
that they found the
Mhm.
photos later?
Yeah.
That was amazing.
And they're all
is
hit.
the-
I think that's a fantastic picture, the cracks of life, you
I
know.
love the
yeah, I
cracks.
think it's a really strong story
Very
behind
powerful.
this.
That's
Yeah.
Well, the dogs are older than my time in the garden club, so it was kind of a. She passed away on Groundhog's Day, and so this is because her
Oh,
flower passed away. So their sister, it's the right one, the bigger one, bigger picture on
Well,
the
I
screen.
think, Kim, you've done a really nice job memorializing in this picture. It's a very strong story. I like that, like there's as Cass said, the cracks and everything is framing very much up to you and your dog. It looks like you used a slightly wider angle lens. I
Yeah,
think,
I think you could look. Other thing was sort of that double shadow. There was a lot of lights. There was a tennis court light, and then the street lights and the colors. It was
but
just really
look how,
curious.
hopefully tell me if you guys can you see my drawings?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, look how this and all of this shadow is
Yeah.
working to frame
Oh,
into Kim.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
And
It's
yours
very
right
cool.
in the middle. I mean,
And then all of this is pulling us in, like everything is taking us to kind of this,
Yeah,
which,
I love this.
and the nice thing about this would be a good one to enter into a contest, Kim, is that kind of like what I tried to do with the water glass, is you're telling the story, but you're not giving too much away. You're leaving the viewer like you've given us some context there, which is lovely and helps us really understand the meaning behind the picture. But even without that, someone would look at this and be like, who's this figure? Like walking this dog? Like, why does the dog look so ginormous? Like, well, it's because of like the lens distortion and the nature of the light, and because you're walking towards the end of the day. But yeah, really good, Kim. Sorry I missed that originally, but I
Oh,
think
that's okay. Thanks.
and I think
Yeah,
it fulfills the
I felt
criteria
bad.
perfectly.
I didn't do it in raw. I was like, oh, I should have done that in raw, but it was kind of spur of the moment, so had to
Yeah.
take the advantage of it happening. So
Absolutely. And even like your dog looks like he's got more than four legs, which is kind of interesting because
Yeah.
of the
yeah,
shadow.
the shadowy part of it was interesting to me. It was almost
Yeah.
like her sister was a little bit there. I don't
And
know.
you can it all and hopefully everyone can see this when Kim, I think, mentioned the double shadow. It's almost you've got a shadow there,
Mm-hmm.
and then you've got a shadow here, right? And then
Mhm.
you've got Kim coming out up here. There's a lot there behind this picture, so it's really good, really good.
You gotta
Okay, well, I was
frame
just
it.
trying to, it was a question about interpretation of the assignment a little bit.
I
So
think it is a
thanks.
perfect insert. It actually, I rather just see that. I don't want to see the tennis court or like everything else that up here. That would
No,
distract
yeah.
us from this picture.
The
Frame
mystery.
it, Kim.
Yeah,
The
Frame
that's
it.
tennis
definitely.
courts are, the lights on the tennis courts are behind me. I mean, it's at like 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night. So
Yeah. You should
Yeah.
definitely frame this. I agree. This is a good. This is a key. This is a keeper.
Mhm.
I'll quickly show you
Thanks.
for those of you who are intrigued. So there's this photographer called Vivian Meyer, right? And Vivian Meyer was a nanny. Kim already mentioned, and she was wandering around Chicago, New York, mainly Chicago, but New York as well, taking pictures for years and years and years, just capturing street life. And you can see, like, look at this picture, just reminded me a bit of Kim's. She did a lot of reflections and shadows and playing with light and reflective surfaces. She passed away and was just this kind of lady who enjoyed going and taking pictures of life and stuff around like Chicago and New York during the I think it's like 50s, 60s, 70s. Anyway, she passed away, and then someone purchased a home and found in the attic all these
Pictures.
slides,
Yeah.
like thousands.
Weren't they rolls of, maybe rolls of film because she didn't have the money?
Yeah.
To develop
I
them?
think you're right. They
Yeah,
were, but
yeah.
look how that one reminds me of Kim's
Yeah.
one.
Right.
So straight away,
Yeah.
it just reminded me of Vivian Meyer. And anyway, they ended up developing them, and long story short, they were like, oh my God, this is an amazing collection of photographs. And she's become one of the most famous street photographers of the 20th century. There's a really good, for those of you who like documentaries and movies, there's a really good it's like a kind of semi like movie documentary on, what's it called, Finding Vivian Maya. It's on Netflix.
And we watched it thanks to your suggestion, Adam, and my husband really enjoyed it as well. So
Oh, good. Yeah, and it tells the story. I can't remember. Is it like a biopic, Cass, or is it a documentary? I can't remember.
it's a documentary about the man that found her photos, and
Yeah.
it's really well done. I thought it was very interesting.
So you'll see a lot of her stuff is reflections, reflective surfaces, shadows, playing with like optical illusions, messing with your mind, like where actually is she when she took this picture? She's not obviously standing there, that's looking in a mirror, like a lot of this shadowing. Look at the shadowing here. You can go through and look at her website, but she has a lot of very good work. But the crazy thing is she was completely unknown. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, she passed away, and all these photos have been developed. Look at that one, how it's like Kim's.
Mm.
Big shadow,
Yeah.
vanishing point. Look
That's
at
quite a
that.
compliment. Thanks.
Yeah,
I didn't think of that, but
well, it's good. Good. No, you did a great job. Really good. But you can see, look at like even that one. Think of that one as a storytelling picture. Like like the shadowy figure, the Time magazine. Like look at the shadow even coming off the purse, and then kind of going out into wherever she is, somewhere industrial. But yeah, she plays around with shadows and reflections. So this is Vivian Meyer. This is her, and she was a nanny, but has now she's in pretty much every like fine art photography collection on the planet. You go to any big photography museum, you'll likely find a Vivian Meyer or a number of Vivian Meyer pictures there. So have a look at her work in your own time. Okay, so let's spend the last half an hour or so we have. Let's spend it showing you how to do some editing. Not in Lightroom, we're just going to do it in the normal Apple app, which is going to mean that all of you can access it at the same time that I can access it. So I'm gonna let's set it up here. Hopefully this works. Gave it a trial run earlier and it worked just fine. So here we go. So let's share my screen. Okay, can you all see that giraffe?
Yes.
yes.
Fantastic. Good. Okay, so we're looking at my iPhone here. I haven't picked a particularly amazing photo. I picked a pretty average photo, but with okay light on purpose because I want to play with it and I want to show you what we can do. So when you are looking at your photos, okay, and I could be flicking through my photos here, if it lets me change. Come on. Oh dear, don't want to do that. Oh, it's trying to cut out my giraffe. Hold on. Trying to control this through my computer. One sec. Sorry. I'm gonna close
Are you
it.
mirroring? Are you
Yeah,
mirroring the
I'm
photo?
mirroring, but it was just a.
And when you touch your phone, it doesn't react right?
No, when
Sorry.
I have to lock my phone, and then when I
Oh,
lock my phone, then I can
uh-huh.
basically control it on my thing. I tried doing it through Zoom, and
Okay.
it just kept on screwing it up. So I figured
Yeah.
this was the easiest way to do it. But let me do it again because I had this working just fine. So let me.
Okay. Yeah, I got tips for doing through Zoom, just opening a Zoom second, whatever.
The problem is with that is I was worried about the recording and losing the recording, and it's splitting up the recording.
Oh, yeah, you wouldn't connect your audio with your thing, but go ahead.
So
I don't want to.
hopefully this will work. Just give me a second. I reckon I can get it working. Where's it gone? There we go. Okay, so let's go back to the giraffe. Let's go connect. Let's go share. Let's go giraffe. Okay, everyone see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so down at the bottom, when you're looking at your pictures, you have these three sliders. If I click on those, and notice as well, I photographed this in RAW. You see at the top, it says RAW on the left. Okay. If I click on the three sliders, it's going to take a second. And here's where we can start to play with our photo, start to edit it. There's a number of things at the bottom: adjust, filters, crop, and cleanup. Adjust is like you controlling, I want the exposure to it's for those of you familiar with Lightroom, it's very familiar in that you have a number of sliders here, which I'm going to go through in a minute, which will basically change the photo. Filters is like I want to pick something and I just want Apple to do it for me, and I tend to avoid people using these to provide a specific effect. And you can feel free to flick through these and you can tone them down, the opacity. So that's like dramatic, call it 100%. I can slide it down all the way to 0 if I want. We'll come back to that in a minute. Crop is crop. I'm going to start actually with the crop, and cleanup is to get rid of things. So adjust is all your sliders. Filters is presets. Crop is, obviously, it's cropping. I'm just going to get rid of this. And then cleanup is to remove things. So in this picture, the first thing I want to do when I look at this is I want to crop it. I didn't do a very good job. Like I kept the bit at the top there that shouldn't have been in there. There's some poles on the left. Like I just want a nice close-up picture of this giraffe eating his lettuce. So I'm going to go to crop. And this would always be where I'd encourage you to start whenever you edit any picture, whether it's on your phone or it's on your computer. It's why in Lightroom, for those of you familiar with Lightroom, the crop is right at the top. Because they did tons of research of like what's the right order to do things, and it came out that most people crop their pictures first. When you are in crop, there's quite a lot to see here. Okay, the first thing you'll see is you'll see a padlock on your picture. The padlock means when I go to crop this, that the aspect ratio, and what the aspect ratio means is how long is the long edge compared to how short is the short edge, stays the same. We want this padlock on. Otherwise, you end up being in like the Wild West of editing your picture. Interestingly, if you click up here, and I'm clicking, but when you hear me say click, this is obviously on your iPhone, this is touching. When you click up here, down at the bottom here, and I purposely put this up because I wanted to show you the mistake, is if you noticed, this is cropping to a square. So it's made my giraffe, I can move him around, it's a square, which isn't what normally comes out my camera. What comes out my camera is what's called a 3:2 aspect ratio, which is this one, original. I actually would like you, unless you're cropping specifically for a square photo frame or to stick on Instagram in a square, I'd like you to have this on original. Not the worst one you can have it on is freeform. Because what happens here is I can do whatever I want and I go like this and I crop the giraffe. But then when I go to enter that in a contest or I go to print it and I say I want it as an 8 by 10 or 11 by 14, half the giraffe gets chopped off. So it's very important. And you'll see here there's square, there's like if it lets me go there. There's another one over there, but it doesn't really matter. I want you on this one original. Now, what's interesting when I crop the picture is look, the original photograph is still there. By the way, can everyone see the iPhone nice and big? Is it clear on the screen?
Yes.
Good, really good. This is my first time trying this, so I just wanted to make sure that it was clear for you guys to see. So you never, on a crop in this instance, you never, it's kind of like a Lightroom, you don't lose the rest of the photo, like it's still here. I'm just choosing to basically like look through a window at just a certain part of the image. But I would always check when you do this that this box up here, it kind of looks like 3 rectangles. You check it and you make sure it's on original. That locks the aspect ratio to a 3 by 2. That's why by far and away the most popular size that people print photos is 6 by 4. It's just 3 times 2 and 2 times 2. 6 by 4. Out of interest, I just want to see this. Does it, if I draw on the giraffe, can you see that?
Yes.
Amazing. Great. Good. That's helpful. So I'll draw, I may do some drawings at the same time. So when we go up here, I'm going to go up here and we're going to choose original. If for some reason I'm like, I took this giraffe in a portrait orientation, but I want it to be landscape, I just click on this one. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go in on the giraffe and his mouth and zoom in. And you can flip between these.
Oh,
Adam, could I ask you one question too? With your little pen that you use all the time, it would be so helpful at times, to maybe circle something and ask you a question.
Yeah.
What do you use? What is it?
Well, that's a whole nother conversation. So my
I
little
know, but
pen
just
here,
the name of it. Oh,
it's
that one.
I'll
Okay.
send. I can. Do you know what I'll do? I'll send it in the follow-up email. It's called a
Thank
Wacom
you.
tablet, but but great for retouching, especially if you get more into retouching on your computer.
What though? What was it called?
WACOM, but there's hundreds of them, Cass.
Okay, good.
I'll
Right,
message you a good because you can
Thank you.
spend way more than you need to. Like there's a good few entry level models that people really enjoy because when they start wanting to paint on their pictures, you basically like it's a digital canvas rather than using your finger.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll send it out to the group. You can have a look.
Thank you.
But hopefully this makes so the one we always want to avoid is freeform. Always original, always either in a portrait or a landscape orientation. Okay. While we're here in the crop, they've also got this thing up here which says auto. This is Apple trying to use AI and give you what it thinks is the best crop. But I'd rather you do it yourself. But I'm just showing you it's here. Okay, you can see that didn't do much to take away the side of the giraffe. I'm going to go back to crop. So up here is the ability to spin the giraffe. So we can rotate our image, top left. And we can also mirror it. We can flip it. So I can make the giraffe face the other way. So the top left is mirroring.
oh,
So this is mirror. This is rotate. And this is aspect ratio. And then the middle one, I don't really want you to use the auto one. I'd much rather you do it yourself. Okay. Anyone got any questions on that so far? Okay. Just as well, while we're here in the crop, you'll see there's a slider down here at the bottom. If I move that slider, that will rotate my image. So if you've got a landscape and the beach is off, you can just slide like this, and I could maybe rotate this guy, and then I could say, okay, I want to make sure I'm in original, and I'm going to crop him all the way in, and I want him to look like that for the time being. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, someone asked me, I can't remember who it was earlier, if we could create a virtual copy. I just wanted to show you this. At the top right up here are three little dots. You click on them, there's tons you can do here. And again, I don't want to I could go down a real rabbit hole here, but there is one here that says save as duplicate. That will let you keep the original on your phone, but it will create a new second version of it with this crop and potentially any edits that we do.
Where would it be? Where would it end up?
Right next to it on your camera roll.
Okay.
Literally next to it.
Okay.
So these tools at the top are actually very useful, as are the tools down here to rotate. And then you've actually got two here. One's called the vertical transform fix, one's called the horizontal transform fix. You're not going to be able to see this that clearly on this giraffe picture. But if you've ever taken a picture of a building and it looks like it's falling over because your camera wasn't straight, this will let you basically like rotate. It's like moving the picture like this and like this. Great for getting your lines straight. And this does the opposite. This moves it this way and this way. It's going to move him left to right. Not needed on this picture, but good to know it's there, especially for those of you who enjoy photographing buildings. Because a big telltale of buildings is sometimes if we point our camera up or we point our camera down, the building looks like it's falling away or it looks like it's leaning towards us.
Where is that?
So when you're in crop, okay?
In crop, okay.
So let me come out. I'll come out of crop. So I'll just imagine I'm on adjust here. This is the normal place. You hit on crop down at the bottom here, Eliza.
Yeah.
And then you have three symbols here. The first one is all to do with straightening or rotating. That's
Right.
And then the next two are to do with something, the fancy photography word for it is called parallax error.
Right.
Which basically just means when things look like they're falling over. So it's fixing that.
How cool is that? I didn't know I had that capability. That's great.
Just a quick tip. I use that all the time if I take a picture of a document or an image with a frame. You can, if the frame's a little crooked or skewed, use all those three and it really helps.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
But this guy looks pretty good with this crop now. Not terrible. Much better than when I started. If I hit cancel and hit discard changes, it will take me back to the beginning. Okay, so the original's always there. But I can come back to my edits and come back to crop and make sure that I'm on original. In this case, I'm going to crop in and it's going to keep the aspect ratio locked. And then I can rotate him however I want to rotate him. And then you just tap done at the top and it will fix it. Okay. Everyone with me so far? Good. Okay, so that's... Go on, sorry.
Do you use, I'm sorry, I was on mute and then I thought, yeah. Do you use the cleanup tool very often for like that bar on the left on top?
Yeah, sometimes I'm going to get to it. I'm just going to work my way across, but yes.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. I'm just starting in the logical order that I think that you should edit your photos. And usually the first thing we do is crop.
Okay.
Cleanup is usually one of the last things we do. Which is why it's the fourth one a lot. I actually think crop should be front and center here, but Apple moved it. So when I came back here on adjust, remember I said adjust is all to do with it's kind of like your sliders in Lightroom, for those of you familiar with Lightroom. It's allowing us to adjust how the picture looks. Apple has this magic wand that you can click on and it theoretically edits it for you. Don't have to do anything. You can see it's a pretty good difference. It's warmed up the giraffe, it's brought it out. And when you do that, what's kind of interesting is you have the ability to when it does the auto, it's like taking a bundle of edits and putting them all together and wrapping them all up. So it just becomes one edit. You can then say, actually, I really like this and I want to turn up the strength of the edit by going to the right, or I want to turn down the strength of the edit. And you can play with that. It's kind of a neat tool to play with. Personally, I almost never use this because I prefer editing on my own. because I think I can do it. I think I can do as good a job, if not better job of what Apple can do. But if you want to like just play around, it does a pretty good job, like in an instant, of improving the lighting and the colors and everything in the photo. But I'm going to turn it off for the time being. I'm going to work along these ones. And for most of you, these tools are going to be pretty familiar. You would have seen the words before. Exposure, all to do with brightness. Remember, right is bright. Good way to remember it. Anytime you go right on anything on a phone to do with photography, you're making the photo brighter. Left is dark. Now, this photo doesn't need anything. It's pretty good. I think I may have included a photo. I'm worried if I go back, I'm going to lose this. Let's have a look. Okay, let's have a look at this rhino. Okay, so if we look at this rhino and we crop him first. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to go original. I'm going to change it to a landscape. And I'm going to crop in on just the rhino and his horns. Okay. Now, if I come to adjust and I hit this, it just brightens it up. But I think that's too bright for this particular picture. So, and again, maybe it needs just a little bit more brightness. There, just a little bit. Be careful with exposure. Exposure is designed more as a corrective slider than a creative slider. And brilliance is a funny word for them to put for photography, but it means it's a combination, for those of you familiar with Lightroom, of definition, clarity, and color. When you slide this to the right, the clarity is going to improve, i.e. the definition or the sharpness, and the colors are going to get boosted. Slide this the other way, it's going to do the opposite. It's a good little slider, and I often recommend people 0 to 20. With most of these things, less is more. You don't need to go all the way up to 100 because it's going to look terrible. Okay. Next one. Actually, I'll go back to the giraffe picture to show you this one because I think it'll be easier for me to show you. Let's go back to our giraffe. Okay. So if I come back to him and you can see if I do brilliance, it's going to increase the color a little bit behind him. Highlights means I'm just changing the brightness or darkness of the bright parts of the picture. Remember, right is bright. So if I go to the right, everything that's bright in the picture is going to get brighter, but the shadows aren't going to get touched. If I go to the left, everything that's bright in the picture is going to get darker, which in this case I want to do because I want to bring back some of the definition around the giraffe's face, which is a little bit too bright. So I'm going to bring this and bring it slightly into the negative. That's primarily working on this area here. The bright part of the giraffe. It's not touching the shadow here or the shadow in his ear. It's just working on the highlights. And a general rule of thumb, not always, but general rule of thumb is if you slightly reduce the highlights in your pictures, your colors will pop more. It's kind of like, imagine I was painting a wall in my house and I was decided to paint it blue. If I got blue and I added loads of white paint to my blue, the blue would kind of look a bit like wishy-washy, like very kind of more light and airy. If I added a little bit of black, i.e. I darkened the blue becomes more intense. The color's going to stand out more. So a good little trick is often just to reduce the highlights, and Apple does this tons when they're doing it automatically. They just reduce the highlights. And again, you don't need to go crazy. Don't go over here. Don't go over here. Usually, most of these sliders I'm showing you, somewhere between 0 and plus 20 and 0 and minus 20 does the job. Shadows is the same thing, but it's for the dark areas. Remember, right is bright. It's going to make the dark areas brighter, or it's going to make the dark, look at the trees, inside the trees. Do I want to be able to see inside that forest? Do I not, or do I want it darker? I probably want to be able to see a little bit in there. Not much, but it's nice to have a little bit of color in there. Anyone just stop me if you've got a question. I just want to work through these. Contrast, I actually hate this slider. It's a bit controversial, but I don't like this slider at all because I think there's a better way of doing this. I think this slider can end up making your photo look very fake on either way and over edited, even without going too far. Look at the right-hand side of the draft, like getting destroyed by this slider. The contrast slider is both in Lightroom and in Apple, is a very destructive slider. It's trying to eke out more dynamic range, but the way that it does it, I just don't think is very good. I would tend to leave this where it is, would be my recommendation, because there's other ways of doing it. Next one. People always ask me what's the difference between brightness and exposure. The only difference is the way the algorithm works, but the brightness slider is not quite so intense, as strong. Again, I tell people pretty much leave this. You don't need to touch this because you've already done the exposure. Unless your picture looked like that at the beginning, then maybe you'd need to use this as a bit of a rescue remedy. But I would tend to stay away from this. This one, on the other hand, is really important. This is a bit more professional, this one. This one is, where does black start on your dynamic range? Where is black? Is the black really black, or is the black a bit lighter? Generally, and this is not a golden rule, but in general, we like to decrease the black point just the tad. What that's doing is, if you imagine this is our dynamic range, and this is black, and this is white, so this is how much light your iPhone can see. All we're doing is we're dragging. Oh, did you just lose them? Did you just lose my phone? Is it still there?
It's still there.
Good. So we're dragging the blacks over here to increase the dynamic range. So we're seeing more light. When you see more light, you see more contrast, which is why I don't like using that contrast slider. You see more clarity and you see more color. So a pro tip is to drop the black point. Straight away, that makes your photo pop a little bit more. Okay. It's also kind of interesting, if you hit here, you can go back any step. So you can keep on going back, back, back. Want to go forward, you go forward. And Apple have made some big advances here, because you never used to be able to do a lot of this stuff. This is almost, so you can always, it's virtually impossible to screw anything up because you can always go back. You can always undo up here. Okay, the next one, you know this word is saturation. Saturation means the intensity of the color. So there's actually two. There's vibrance and saturation. Again, I would only use one of these. I would not use saturation. Makes your image look terrible and over photoshopped and fake. A more subtle way to boost, the only way I sometimes use this, so I sometimes use this black and white. So if you take all the saturation out, it's an easy way to be able to make a black and white picture. You just reduce the saturation, and then you're at black and white, and then you start doing some other stuff to bring out the giraffe. Like the edit for a black and white would be different to the edit for a color. But mainly I want you guys to stay away from the saturation slider, and I want you to focus instead on vibrancy in order to boost the color in your picture. And again, a little rule of thumb, somewhere between 0 and 20, it doesn't need much, is going to help boost the color. And already this guy's looking much better than when we started. A few more. This ties into white balance. A lot of the time, especially if you're taking pictures of animals or people, we want the light to recreate golden hour, warmth. You slide this to the right, the giraffe's going to get a bit warmer. It's like I took this at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This would be like recreating like I took it at 5 or 6 o'clock. Go the other way, he's going to go much more blue. That we don't like. The giraffe feels cold and not so intimate and engaging a portrait. So we can up that a little bit. Tint I tend not to touch. Don't worry about this. This is going to make go between green and purple. It's more of a white balance fix. You won't really need to touch that too much. So you can ignore that one. Sharpness, obvious. The more we slide it up, the more sharp the chart becomes. Again, there's two things here. There's sharpness and there's definition. And they kind of do the same thing. They just do it in a slightly different way. But for the interest of time, I'm not going to go too much into the theory and the technical of what the difference is, but I'll just give you the practical. And the practical is I would always rather use definition than sharpness, especially on an iPhone. Because when you use sharpness, it's very easy to create noise in the picture, to degrade the photo. And again, I think I actually went too far with that. It doesn't need to go that far. And I'm going to go back here and I'm going to go, oh, actually, as I'm looking at this, I think the shadows need to be lifted a little bit on the other side of the giraffe. Okay, so I can scroll along here and you do this all with your finger, increase the definition. Then you have this great one, which again, never used to be on an iPhone until like 6 months ago, which is noise reduction, which is if you happen to take a photo and your ISO is at like 4,000, for those of you who know what that means, you can reduce the noise here. It's not great. It's definitely not as good as doing it on your computer, but it's there if you need it. And then the last one is you can add a vignette. You can make the corners darker or brighter. If I go to the left, the corners are going to get white around them. If I go to the right, it's going to subtly put black. The more I go, the more the strength. But again, like less is more. Generally, a little bit of a dark vignette helps to draw attention in to the giraffe. Okay. Anyone got any questions on any of those sliders? Susie, you're on mute.
I have a question on the default to put your photo to original versus freeform or square.
Yeah.
I tried to set that up in my settings and I'm still getting freeform. I don't know if that's a common problem. If it's not a common problem, I'll look it up later.
You mean by default when you come in here, it's on freeform?
Yes.
Yeah, you just need to change that in the settings on the back end. It should you want it on original as default. Look it up.
Right.
But
Okay.
it's something
Okay.
that's an easy. You just have to go deep in the menu to do it. But you go
Okay.
to settings menu.
I didn't know if that was everybody's problem. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So I've done some editing on this guy. Okay. The only thing that's left is I don't like that post. Okay, that's really distracting. So I come back to my sliders, and this time I'm going to go to this one that says clean up. Okay, it's going to take a second to load. And then hopefully this will show you this through the computer. You'll be able to see it. But this is so easy. It's not perfect, and it works really well for when things are, you can see there that it's giving me the thing, tap, brush, or circle what you want to remove. So I'm going to get my finger and I'm going to brush over this guy. And I'm going to let go. I'm going to let it work its magic. Ah, didn't work. See, that's why I don't edit on an iPhone. Let's see if it works. Come on. That's weird. Didn't do it.
It's because you're on Zoom.
It may be because I'm on Zoom.
Oh,
I can tell you that this would remove this. You get kind of this wavy, flashy, rainbowy light, and then that should disappear. I think it's something to do with the screen mirroring. But this is a really effective tool to just quickly get rid of little things that are distracting. Now, I could also just rotate this guy. And I don't like the chain link fence down there. I don't like any of that. I want to make it look like I'm in Africa taking a picture of a giraffe. And that's much better. I'd probably actually crop off the top of his horn a little bit. It's a bit of an awkward crop there, but it's okay. Close enough. So there's a good portrait of the giraffe. But where we started was very, very different. Where we started is up here. You see it says revert.
Mhm.
If I take you back, the problem is once you do this, you're stuck. So I'll do it in a second. So you find this just if ever you're like, oh my God, I screwed this up. I really don't know what to do. I want to start again. All you do is you hit back on the three little lines at the bottom.
Mhm.
And then and then you've got all your things, your adjust, your filters, your crop, your cleanup. And on the top right in red, you have revert. If I hit that and I hit revert to original, bye-bye my nice version of my giraffe.
Mhm.
You lose it and you got to start again. But that sometimes is quicker than going if you really decide you don't like something, it's quicker than going undo, 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 undo.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Especially if you've done a lot of steps and you just want to start again. And I can kind of quickly get it back. But look how my padlock is locked, sorry. And maybe like on a picture like this, maybe I want to try just thinking out the box. What happens if I kind of go more down on him like this? Like pretty interesting. Maybe I just want to go in on his eye. I can just do a picture in his eye and his ear.
Mhm.
Maybe I've got too much here, and maybe I want to just giving you guys some ideas here. And then I want to rotate it. I go crop. I want to rotate it so I get, I don't know, more of his eye and his cheek in. Like that. More abstract. I kind of like the one I did before, but I'm just showing you that you can play with this. When you're happy with your photo edit, you just hit done at the top.
Mhm.
That will lock it. The nice thing though is if ever I want to come back to this picture and I'm like, I don't really like that crop anymore. If I come back to the three sliders, you always have revert at the top here. That's to say that Apple have made a big leap in their editing, which never existed before, in that Apple editing is now what's called non-destructive. It used to be once you did a crop and you saved it, you were stuck with that new picture and you couldn't get back to the old one. Now, the old one you can think about is always hiding underneath.
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm pleased that worked. I'm pleased I was able to show you that on the phone and that you can follow along. This was a thank you, Kim, for suggesting that. That was very helpful. And hopefully,
Sorry about
did this show up full out of interest? Did this show up full screen for you guys? Is this filling your computer?
Yeah, it's filling the full vertical, yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah, as long as it's filling the full vertical. But you could easily see everything I was doing, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Perfect, good. So this is something you can go back, you can watch the recording, you can hear me tell you about each one of the sliders, but this is something that I'd like you to play with. And it's on every iPhone. Doesn't matter whether you've got 15, 16, 14, 15, 16, 17. The software has been updated on all of them where it should look pretty much like this. Okay. But in the
It might be that the 14 doesn't have the correct race.
it doesn't have the cleanup.
Yeah,
You're
it
right.
happens after 50 starting in
Yeah, that's correct. Now, in the long run, so I just showed you how to do editing on Apple Photos, which is good. But as I've kind of alluded to, the kind of the holy grail is we get it in
Lightroom.
Lightroom. Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's something I would encourage all of you to like most of you have it on your computer already. So it makes sense to dovetail it with your workflow of photographing on your phone because then everything talks to each other and you're unleashing like what I just showed you was like very, very basic photo editing. What you can do in Lightroom, either on your phone or on the computer, is exponentially higher.
Mhm.
So I don't think Charlie's not here today because I know Charlie organized this class, but it may be something we can think about of perhaps getting this class back together and maybe running 2 or 3 Lightroom workshops, like based on the phone and having you guys have it downloaded beforehand. I think that could be a good idea. I don't want to overwhelm you and show you too much too quickly. So maybe in March or something, I'll reach out to because I think Charlie's in charge of organizing these classes, right?
And Catherine.
Catherine
Oh,
Parker.
Catherine. Oh, hey,
Parker.
Catherine. Okay,
The
well, so
iPhone 7. Catherine needs to change her name.
Catherine, you're on an iPhone 7. That's amazing. Vintage. Well, that's good, but
You
like,
might need,
you're
It's
still,
a 17.
you might need to upgrade, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
hold on. So, well, I'll ask Catherine while everyone's here. Do you think that's something that would be beneficial for the group?
I think it's a good possibility. I don't know why people wouldn't be interested, really. That'd
Yeah.
be great.
Okay, so I'll and just making sure which Catherine is it Catherine Allen Catherine?
Parker.
No, Catherine
Parker.
Parker.
Fine. So Catherine Parker, I can't see you. Sorry, you just say iPhone 7.
Oh,
Yeah,
It's
Catherine,
a
do you know
Oh,
how to
I-
change it on your
yeah,
iPhone?
I thought I did, but I guess it didn't. I pushed the video and let's see.
oh,
I
don't
don't know
worry.
where, yeah. Anyway,
Change
I'm
your
here.
name.
I'm here.
To
Catherine.
change your name, you touch the participants, and then
Yes.
once you're in participants, touch your name and rename will come up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Catherine, have a chat with Charlie. I'll send you guys an email and maybe we line up a couple of still everything phone bait focused, but moving people slightly from kind of where I would say is the beginner level, which is the Apple side of things, getting people, and you've all got the beauty is you've all got Lightroom already. So you're paying for it. So you might as well get the benefit of using it on your phone, which none of you are getting at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll see if we can pull this group together. I'll throw out some dates, try to keep out the 9 a.m. Catherine, I'll message you and Charlie separately and we'll see if we can coordinate and go from there.
Great. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you everyone. Really nice seeing you. Have fun. And
Thank you,
I'll
Adam.
hopefully see you all very soon.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Bye.